You've only gone and downloaded a multiplesources.net podcast. For more episodes of this show and a bunch of other content covering everything from NBA teams to professional wrestling, visit multiplesources.net. Multiplesources.net. But wait! Act now and you too could join multiplesources.net. Yeah, we're looking for people to do their own podcasts about different NBA teams. We're looking for blog authors, video highlight creators, basically anything you can think of to write about sports. You can kind of write or create to your heart's content. So if you want to help us and join this up-and-coming independent blog and podcast network monster, go to multiplesources.net. I'll stick something in the sidebar that says join us or something equally unfunny, so go and click on that. Join us.
Hello everyone and welcome to a special draft edition of It's Always Sunny in Phoenix, a weekly podcast where we keep you up to date on everything Phoenix Suns basketball. Today, we're going to go all in on the draft, talk about what we think about our new three rookies, Dragan Bender, Marquese Chriss, and Tyler Ulis, then share some thoughts about some things that stuck out to us in that first round. And Mitch is out making the world a better place this week, so it's just me, Charlie, and David here to talk some NBA draft. What's up, David?
I have a lot of thoughts. That's what's up.
A lot of things just happened in this draft.
A lot of stuff. I was getting play-by-play from Charlie because I couldn't watch the draft because of some other stuff going on, mainly making that paper green. But I got live play-by-play from Charlie, and I have a lot of thoughts. We'll get into it.
I think one of the better messages I sent you was just a bunch of capital letters all in a row, followed by Thon Maker to the Bucks at 10.
I think some of my best responses were any possible way I could say what, spelled differently, all in caps, because I couldn't believe what was going on.
Yeah, so before we get into some of that crazy talk, let's talk about our new guys. And with the fourth pick, we took Dragan Bender, the 7'1" power forward. He was the youngest guy to be drafted in this lottery. I'm really excited about him, and I wasn't surprised when we took him at that 4 spot. I was pretty happy and a little bummed that we didn't take Chris at that spot, but we made up for that shortly after. So what do you think about Bender, David?
Yeah, I wasn't sure originally when the draft was coming up and we were starting to talk about it a little bit more in the pod and just kind of off when we were messaging and stuff. I wasn't sure about Dragan Bender, but the more tape I watched, the more I was okay with the pick. I was still nervous, but the more I was okay with it, and I did that draft profile on him, and I still wasn't entirely sure how to feel. But when we watched that, I think it was that Sports Nation video or Sports... Was it
Sports Illustrated?
Sports Illustrated, sorry. I knew it was one of those sports websites. They had the profile on him, and comparing him to Tony Kukoc, and just hearing about what he has been doing to get to the spot that he is, you like the guy. You go out of that video thinking, wow, this is a really cool guy. I am totally okay if my team drafts him. And when we did our mock drafts, when we did our lottery mock draft back in March or April, I had us picking Bender. And when we did our last lottery mock draft, I had us picking Bender. I'm happy with the pick. He's going to be a good perimeter defender right away. He's going to get blocks because of his length. He needs to put some muscle on. He needs to put some weight on. But I really like the pick.
Yeah, he's just an exciting guy. He has a lot of athleticism for being 7'1", and as thin as he is, he still can get up and down the court, has some good leap to him. He can block some shots. He can catch lobs. But he can stretch it out a little bit, shoot that three. I believe he shot 36% from downtown last year.
I think he jumped up to 40 from the Euro 3. I feel like he shot really well this last season. And if you look at the numbers, he's improved every single year he's been playing his shot. His percentages were at 27%, I think, 2 years ago, and they jumped up to like 36, and then I think they jumped up to 39 or 40 or something like that. His shot,
that's like TJ Warren style.
Yeah, his shot has been just improving just more every single year. So you think that trend's going to continue? Also, I have to say, he is not explosive. He is not as athletic as someone like Porzingis, and I think that's why Kukoc is a better comparison. Porzingis, everyone's going to compare him to him because white 4 and 7 footer. Porzingis is a lot more explosive than Bender is, but Bender at the same age as Porzingis was, I think, is when they did the comparison that Bender's actually ahead in his progression than Porzingis. So that's encouraging, and while he's not explosive, he can make up for it with quickness. So
we can agree that he's definitely a fluid guy for a 7'1" guy.
Definitely. If you watch transition tape of him, just look up some of his moves in transition and how he runs and how he fills the lane and all that kind of other stuff. You're going to really like him.
Yeah, I've seen some putback dunks of his that do remind me of Porzingis a little bit. Just that long lengthiness, kind of snatching a ball with one hand and almost bringing it across your body to finish. Just those crazy alien arms.
Yeah, and he does have a lot of work, but he's so far been trending in the right direction. So
totally. So for everyone that was upset that we didn't draft Marquese Chriss after we took Bender, I think we made up for it a lot when we traded up with the Kings, who selected Marquese Chriss for us with that 8th pick. So to get this 8th pick in Marquese Chriss, we gave up the 13th pick, the 28th pick, and then Bogdan Bogdanovic, which that's a bit of a bummer, but he wasn't going to be coming over this year either way. So really not missing out on a ton to get the guy we wanted the second most, I guess would be a good way to put it. What do you think about Chriss?
Yeah, as the listeners know, we've been also pretty high on Chriss. I had him number 3 of who I wanted the Suns to pick, but we were all pretty high on him, and Mitch, I think, even wanted us to take him over someone like Bender, I believe, when we were talking about it. He is athletic. He's not like he's super athletic, but he's athletic and not like a Aaron Gordon type of athletic, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
So he's not going to like jump over the backboard, which, I mean, if Aaron Gordon came out with a video tomorrow of him just completely just jumping over the backboard at like standing and not lowered, whatever, wouldn't surprise me. Chriss is not going to do that, but he's still very athletic. He has an outside shot. He can kind of handle the ball a little bit. He's going to have to work on defense. He's super raw. He's one of the youngest guys in the draft, behind Ingram and Bender, I believe, right? Or it's something like that. Those 3 guys are the youngest in the draft. But, you know, he was some people's number 1 power forward. He is some people's number 2 power forwards. But however you looked at it, it was Bender and Chriss, and we got both of them.
Do you think there was some sort of discussion in the front office? Well, maybe not a discussion, but a confrontation about who we should take with that 4th pick? And then someone literally said, all right, we're just going to get them both.
You know, as soon as the Celtics picked Jaylen Brown, I think that all of a sudden it became the discussion of, we can get both these guys. We don't have to settle. We can get both of them. And there were some other talks about some other trades that we're kind of going to go over in a little bit. But it wouldn't surprise me if any of the rumored trades were to get both these guys, because from everything that I've heard, we were super high on both these guys. So, and I know that you weren't as big of a fan of giving up Bogdanovich, but I think after he didn't come over the last two seasons or last season and then this season he opted to stay overseas, I think that the front office was willing to sell high on him.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And, maybe next year Bogdanovich can be a heck of a player for the Kings, but we got Marquese Chriss out of the deal, so I'm not going to complain about it too much.
Yeah, and also, there's something else. These guys can play together. These guys have games that, while they need to work on things like rebounding and stuff, it wouldn't surprise me if we start seeing lineups with both these guys as our big men at all. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, and then going in with that, I was thinking towards the end of the first there, I just started thinking about Bender and Chriss a little more. And I think aside from Simmons, if you want to call Simmons a big at the power forward position, I think these guys are the two bigs with the most potential in this draft class. Bender with more of like a skilled potential, and then Marquese Chriss with like the most athletic potential out of all the bigs. That's kind of how I was looking at it. And if you can put those two guys together, let them grow together, that's a pretty nasty front court for the Phoenix Suns in 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, and I mean, Ben Simmons is still listed as a small forward. I think that he's a natural power forward, but if you consider him that small forward, then Dragan Bender and Marquese Chriss were the top two power forwards in the draft. Period.
And that definitely solidified when we saw Scal and Davis drop so low.
Yeah, that was something else that we're kind of going to get to, but these guys were definitely the cream of the crop.
So it's kind of funny to look back at those tweets of pictures of McDonough. It was lunch with Chriss and dinner with Bender the same day, and then we draft them in opposite order on draft night.
But in order of how expensive the lunch and dinner were, because I'm assuming the dinner was a little bit more expensive than the lunch. You never know, but I'm just going to say that fourth pick gets the dinner, a little bit more expensive, but the eighth pick gets the lunch, and it's a little bit more casual.
I like that. That's a good display of how things kind of went down. Good point. We're talking basketball.
We're talking basketball and gourmet food.
I will say, in the background of the picture with Chriss, they were like, it was just an awesome mountain view out of these huge picture windows. It looked pretty dope. So
as long as you don't look at the thermometer, it looked fantastic.
Oh, you said it. I don't even want to talk about that.
This is a basketball podcast, not a weather podcast.
It's hot in Phoenix. Really hot.
It's hot.
Okay, so we talked about our power forward duo of the future here. So let's hop into our second round pick, and with the 34th pick, we selected the point guard from Kentucky. Does that sound familiar? Tyler Ulis. I think it's a great pick for us. I was kind of thinking some ball handler depth to come off the bench would be big time for us, with Ronnie Price being a free agent this year. I look at Ulis like a 10-year younger Ronnie Price who can just sit back, learn the show, learn the offense, and then just be a big help to this team off the bench in the future. What do you think?
Yeah, he's a little small, but he plays like a traditional point guard. He plays defense. He is a facilitator. And if we're not going to re-sign Ronnie Price, which I don't think we are, then he fits into that role where he can kind of, play with any of the other guys when needed to. He doesn't need a whole lot of minutes, but he's going to give you hustle.
Yeah, and this draft almost made free agency worthless to us, I guess. Like, we might not have to even waste our time too much. I'm sure we'll throw Durant a big offer just because that's what we do. But we kind of filled all of our needs, and that's really why I was so excited about the Ulis pick. Even though I believe Demetrius Jackson fell pretty late, 45, I was a little more excited about him than I was Ulis, but we'll see how that turns out.
You also kind of have to think, though, there's that Kentucky connection, but Tyler Ulis and Devin Booker are really good friends. So
I did not know that.
Yes,
awesome.
They were roommates, I think. Like, they're really close. They are pictures of those two guys, and when Tyler Ulis declared for the draft and stuff, Booker was all super big on it. Those dudes are really close, and that's why as I started kind of getting to it, I was like, I don't know if we really care about the second-round pick, if we're going to go for someone or whatever, or hold on. If we're going to go for someone that might be a possible high reward kind of guy, if we're just going to be like, hey, we're gonna pick Ulis. He can probably be a guard off the bench, and especially with the Bogdanovich trade, we could use another guy that can possibly play point, especially if Archie is more of a 2 and Brandon Knight can't play the 1. Then we need someone that can facilitate a little bit more. And I'm sure that Booker was pushing hard for the Suns to draft him if we had the chance, and we did. And I think that's what it was.
Yeah, that's solid. I like good camaraderie on the team. That's huge. We've seen what happens when the locker room falls apart, maybe because of one or two certain guys just kind of being dicks.
Just straight up, that's what it was.
Not to beat around the bush or anything, but yeah, I like seeing that. But I'd love to see a Kentucky big guy here.
That's the only thing that we don't have. And I'm starting to kind of think, are we just going to always go Kentucky guards and go for big men in other spots? Or are we going to eventually end up with that Kentucky big? Who knows?
Very true. I thought one of these trades we were talking about could have landed us a Kentucky big if we were to trade with the 76ers, but I kind of expected to see some things like Knight and the 4th pick for Noel, or then Okafor, something like that. But it seems like we were left out of those talks. It was mainly the Bulls and Celtics, and then what's the other one? The Bulls and Timberwolves. They were both in big talks today, but nothing ever happened. Even though with the Timberwolves drafting Dunn, that doesn't mean Dunn's a Timberwolf for sure for the long haul. There can always still be a trade, but
I mean, sorry. I was just gonna say we had Dunn going to the Timberwolves, so I think that it might be more of the scenario that we're talking about. And also, I kind of heard as leaks were coming out and stuff. I saw a tweet from someone that Noel just wasn't getting a top lottery pick, like trying a haul when they were trying to shop him. It looked like that teams were only wanting to give up a late lottery for him. Which astounds me, but these guys get paid to do what they do and we don't, so
sadly that is very true. Yeah, I'm just looking at our mock draft from last week. We had 4 out of the first 5 correct.
We started
That's
strong.
pretty great.
We started really strong, and then it just went all downhill.
We nailed Pirtle to the Raptors at number 9.
I think.
So that's.
I mean, our top 9 was the same. It was just a slightly different order, and then it just went crazy. And hold on, my top 9 was the same. We weren't the same as in we had it on the dot. Our top 9 was the same as our top 9 players were the same top 9 players picked. Not in the same order, but I'm clarifying that because I thought it through and realized that sounded kind of funny. But anyways.
Yeah, so what we messed up on was we had Chriss going 3 to the Celtics, but they took Brown, and we originally had Brown going 7. So he was the highest leap from our mock. And then, Hield and Murray, we were close. We were close.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that I was the one that went back and said that we should put Murray over Hield. I think, because and our messages we would have to go back over them. But I was saying originally, buddy pick and pop with Davis, buddy pick and roll with Davis, blah 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 blah, and then I said, wait, Jamal Murray, they might just go with that because he's younger, blah, and then. At that point, but I think we originally were going to go Hield and then Murray. I feel like,
that sounds right.
But I'm gonna, as the big buddy homer, I tried to take off my rose tinted glasses or my buddy tinted glasses, depending on which ones you want to call them, and went back on that. But so we were close on that, and that kind of went back and forth. So that mix up wasn't as big of a deal as Jaylen Brown at number 3.
Right. The Celtics really did catch everyone off guard. I think they were trying to talk everybody into the fact that they were going to draft Dunn, and they were just trying to get someone to make the right deal, but it just never must have come through for them.
Yeah, I think that they tried to trade 3 for Okafor, and the Sixers said no. I'm assuming, and I think that they were really trying to get people to think that either they were going to pick Dunn or that we were going to pick Dunn. Because then all of a sudden reports were coming out that Dunn was okay if he got drafted by Phoenix and that he thinks that he would fit well and blah, 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 blah. So I kind of think that there was that talk coming out from maybe that someone trying to jump us to get Dunn.
Yeah, I hear that. That makes sense.
But
okay, and before we move on into talking about the rest of the first round, let's rate our picks. Let's grade them. Let's start with Bender first. We took him number 4. What do you give that pick?
I mean,
like A through F.
I'm gonna give it an A. I don't know if that's me being biased. But I'm going to say that I'm not biased because I was pretty tough on Bender and didn't want him. But I do like the pick. I think that it's a good pick. I think that it's what I thought was going to happen. And when I was making the prediction, I thought it was just a good pick.
Yeah, I have to go with that A too. And just because anybody that disagrees with taking Bender at 4, they would have just wanted to take Chriss at 4, and we ended up getting him anyways. So you got to give it the A.
Yeah.
Just a solid move.
And I think I said that, and you can quote me on this, you guys, that if the Celtics do not pick Bender, it doesn't matter who they pick. If they pick a guard, whatever, we will pick Bender at 4. We just won't pass up on him. I'm pretty sure that I said if Bender's there, we're picking him no matter what.
That sounds like something you'd say. I'll trust you. Okay, so then the next one. Let's grade this whole trade. And to recap that again, it was the 13th pick, the 28th pick, and Bogdan Bogdanović to the Kings for their 8th pick, Marquese Chriss. What do you got, David?
So I really like the trade. I think that it was really good for us, especially since we were pretty high on Chriss from everything that it sounded like, so much so that a lot of people had us picking him at 4. So I like the trade in that regards. What we gave up, I think that if we kept 13 and 28 was probably going to be a draft and stash. And after Bogdanović decided to not come over this year, I really like the trade. I think that, in my opinion, it's at least a B, but I would give it an A.
Yeah, not to be a homer, but I'm going A too.
Yeah,
And
we're kind of biased.
yeah.
We are a Suns
But-
podcast.
The reason I can just say A so flatly like that is because the Kings didn't do anything too special with that 13 pick we gave them, and they won't be getting Bogdanovich for a year. But, man, did you see the Sacramento Kings picking this Papagiannis guy with the 13 pick?
I could not have predicted that was going to happen. You know, honestly, once it hit pick 10, everything that followed, I'm just completely flabbergasted at. But I think especially when you look at who the Kings picked at, I actually like who they picked at 28. I like that 28th pick. But especially at 13, I think that gives us a little bit more on the win column.
Totally. So we're both saying A's for both of those, but when it comes to Ulis, there could be some discussion about this one. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought that Demetrius Jackson was definitely the better point guard. I know that he is 2 years older, I think, 2 or 3 years older than Tyler Ulis. I think this is an average pick, but I think it's also just a little bit more of a, like, hey, Book, you're the face of the franchise. We're going to do what makes you happy. And so in that regard, I would bump it up to a B. But if you take the relationship out of it, I think it's just an average pick.
Yeah, I was going to say a C when I thought about that earlier until you mentioned that him and Book are buddies. So,
Yeah, and like
yeah, got to go with a B.
best buds, like really close. So I think that just is, I think that definitely played into it without a doubt.
Yeah, that's cool stuff. So let's just get into talking about the first round and some things that stuck out. We'll highlight all the picks here. We might not talk about each one, but
Well, at least
there was some crazy.
say what they are.
Yeah. So Ben Simmons went number 1 to the Sixers. Everyone knew that was going to happen. Ingram goes 2 to the Lakers. Everybody also knew that was going to happen. And then the Celtics taking Jaylen Brown 3. That really surprised me, and I'm sure that surprised a lot of us NBA watchers.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Does this mean that Jay Crowder is almost going to exclusively play the 4? Or,
Man.
I mean, because they just paid Crowder, or is this some kind of insurance that they're going to try and do? I'm really confused by this pick. I really thought they were going to take Chriss. I thought that they needed a guy like Chriss. And this just really confuses me. I know there was the talk of a guard. I could have totally seen them picking a guard, but then they would have had to ship off, and I would have assumed they would have traded Avery Bradley for some sort of power forward. And I know they were really trying to trade that, but shocker, the Bulls didn't want to trade Jimmy Butler for the 3 straight up. Shocker, the Sixers didn't want to trade Okafor for the 3 straight up. I mean, so I think that I'm just confused. I'm confused by all the Celtics picks, really. Once they got into the second round, I like their picks a little bit more, but I really thought they were going Chriss. And the fact that they didn't makes me happy, but just confuses me.
I'm just peeking at the second round right now, and the Celtics took Ben Bentel, number 51, the power forward. That's a nice fit for them, but I'm surprised he fell to 51.
There are a lot of guys that fell that I'm just completely surprised about, so. And we'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into that, and some guys that jumped that.
Yeah.
Who would have called that?
Not me.
Right. So then at 4 we took Bender, and then at 5 the Timberwolves took Chris Dunn. And is this a goodbye to Ricky Rubio?
I think so.
I don't know, but you know Tibbs was going to draft the best point guard, the best defensive point guard, probably the best point guard in the draft, who happens to be great at defense, Tibbs was hopping all over that.
He's an athletic guy. He gambles, but he most of the time wins on the gamble. I started kind of thinking about it, and I'm kind of starting to lean like he might be like a Reggie Jackson. I know there's been so much talk about like what he could be, blah, 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 but he's got a long wingspan. He's around 6'4". Maybe a Reggie Jackson is a little bit more of a realistic comparison. I mean, someone threw out a John Wall comparison, and while that kind of makes sense, that's not realistic in my opinion. So I'm going to go with a Reggie Jackson comparison this time, and that'll probably change. I might change my comparison for Dunn every single time, but I think that he has a way more workable jump shot. Rubio has no jump shot, and I think Rubio, they're going to say, look, we're going to try and trade you. This is the call that Dunn is the point guard of the future. He'll be able to play alongside Levine. He'll be able to play alongside all the other guys. And that Thibs defense, or Tibbs, whatever you want to say, Tibbs, whatever, going to be scary.
Could that team get any more athletic? It's getting scary. All young, all athletic, with if you don't count Big Peck and KG.
Hey,
that
KG
team's pretty scary.
KG can still put some posters on some youngins.
Oh, sure. Was the most recent one Blake Griffin?
Yep.
Oh.
That made me feel so good on the inside.
I watched that on repeat. I watched that over and over and over. It was so enjoyable.
I think besides the Archie poster on Kristaps, that's my favorite dunk of the year.
Oh. Just made me feel good.
It made me feel all warm and fuzzy on the inside. It was like mom's home cooking.
Oh, yeah. All right. So, Timberwolves with Dunn. That's going to be great. Excited to watch them grow as a team, and I'm going to be really worried about him in the West real soon. All right, let's move on to the number 6 pick. The Pelicans took Buddy Hield.
Yes,
David is the
Buddy.
David.
Oh my goodness.
Nice.
Oh my goodness.
You're the leader of the Buddy Hield fan club. So, take it away, bud.
Buddy should have gone number 1. I really like this pick. I really like it a lot. I talked myself out of Buddy going to NOLA, but Buddy in the brow. Oh my goodness, that makes me just feel so good. If Drew Holiday can stay healthy,
sitcom duo. Buddy in the brow needs to be like a buddy cop.
Oh man, I would
sitcom on TBS.
I would pay so much money for that.
Let's Kickstarter.
If Drew can stay healthy, Drew Holiday is the perfect point guard to play alongside Buddy. He can facilitate. He can play defense. He can play off ball. That's a perfect guy for Buddy. And even if Buddy is, at best, J.J. Redick, that is the perfect guy to have around Anthony Davis. If the Pelicans can stay healthy, they are going to be so much fun to watch.
Yeah, they were pretty rough last year with all those injuries and throwing out some no-namers. No offense, Tim Frazier.
Hey, Tim Frazier wasn't on the list of no-namers, so you didn't have to say that.
Okay. Have it your way. But, man, I just really like Hield to the Pelicans. It makes Eric Gordon totally expendable now. I don't think they even offer him a contract coming around. Let him go somewhere else. They've been paying him quite a bit of dough for him being injured as much as he is. So I'm sure they'll be happy to move on from him, especially with a potential future star in Buddy Hield.
I'm just glad they matched all those years ago.
Whew. Imagine that contract sitting next to Tyson Chandler's last year.
Oh,
that would have just been
it hurts.
Ugly at the top of the cap sheet.
It hurts.
Whew. It would have hurt. I
don't want to think about it anymore. Let's move on.
Perfect. Number 7, the Nuggets. We had Jaylen Brown slipping to the Nuggets, but he went number 3. So the Nuggets took Jamal Murray, the point guard from Kentucky.
Yeah, and look, I don't think Jamal Murray is a point guard. Whatever. So my idea is that are they going to just have him off the bench, or are we going to get some Moutier, Murray, Will the Thrill, Gallinari, Jokic lineups?
Ooh.
That sounds like fun. That sounds like a lot of fun, actually. So I think that might be a lineup to look for that maybe we get to see. But I actually think that Jamal Murray might be a really good fit alongside Emmanuel Moutier. So I like the pick. And with Jaylen Brown not there and Nola picking Buddy, I like Jamal Murray in Denver.
Yeah, I like the fit with Moutier and Murray too. Kind of just he brings the exact opposite set of skills that Moutier brings. And I think that'll just really balance things out in that backcourt for him. Murray's a little more refined as a backcourt player right now. So I think that'll be real helpful for them. And the Nuggets did some pretty nice things in this draft. They might be on the up and up too.
Fingers crossed.
But maybe not, because the West is just going to keep getting tougher while all these guys on the East, who knows what they're doing out East.
Yeah, but I also really would like all the teams that were good and fell off recently, like the Lakers, the Wolves, the Wolves weren't, but like went back when they had KG, but like the Suns, all those guys. I'd like for them to get back up and start competing again. It's a lot more fun.
Totally. And like the old saying goes, if the Knicks are good, it's good for basketball. They just brought D Rose. They might be a little more competitive this year.
How is it possible for both teams to lose a trade?
Yeah.
I
agree with that sentiment right there. I agree with you.
I just don't know about that trade. And I when both fan bases hate the trade, something's wrong.
Usually doesn't go down that way,
but it did.
It did. It did. All right, moving on. Number 8, we traded up for this pick and took Marquese Chriss. Talked about him already, so we'll just keep it moving. And with the 9th pick, the Raptors select Jakob Poeltl, the center from Utah. And we actually nailed this one on our mock draft. That felt pretty good.
Hey, our mock draft wasn't that bad for the top 9. There were a couple things, but now's where it all goes downhill.
Yeah, but Poeltl's a good fit for the Raptors. They needed some help at the center spot. Biyombo's out of there. JV might be becoming a little injury prone, so I think Poeltl's just a great backup and insurance policy for them at center.
Yeah, and if you want to hear us talk more a little bit about Poeltl, go listen to our mock draft podcast. I don't remember where we talked about it, but we definitely talked about the Raps with Poeltl, and go listen.
Right on. And then here's where things get crazy. Milwaukee Bucks, I don't think anybody saw this coming. They just go ahead and take Thon Maker, number 10.
I hate this pick so much. I hate it.
I understand it in the sense that they love big, tall, athletic guys.
Why didn't they pick Scal
in Milwaukee?
If they wanted a big, tall, athletic guy, why didn't they go for Scal? That even would have been kind of a reach, but it makes sense.
It wouldn't have surprised anybody.
There were reports coming out today that Thon Maker might not even be 19. There was a yearbook photo of him being a senior in Australia in 2010-2011.
Oh.
There are talks now that he might be...
So they're saying 23, 24.
They're talking about him
Is
more being along the lines of like 21, 23. Somewhere in that range.
Oh, that's crazy.
I mean, I don't It makes no sense. The Bucks need shooting. If you need shooting, Scal is probably going to be Channing Frye. And is 7'1", and long, and athletic, and you can mold him. Thon Maker is tall and has a wingspan, but the only thing you have to go off of is his mixtape from him dominating on a bunch of Canadian high schoolers when he's possibly 21 or 23.
I think I could have done work in high school as a 21-year-old.
I hope so.
Imagine a 7'2" guy. With you have to admit he is very athletic. He's got some nice tools in that sense.
Look, he's athletic.
Man, I
he's
just can't
tall.
believe
I
this.
get it. But homie's 21 or 23 probably. I would hope
They're going to turn him into a shooting guard next to
goodness.
Antetokounmpo.
Yo, don't talk smack on Giannis. I love Giannis.
Tallest backcourt in NBA history.
Did they really? I hate this. Thon Maker would have been there for them to trade up from the second round or something.
All the reports today after this whole Thon Maker maybe 23 or 24, it seemed like most GMs took him off their first round draft board.
It sounded like he was completely out of the first round, and then he gets picked at number 10.
That was just the Bucks throwing shade. Bucks throwing shade, throwing everybody off the scent.
Yeah, good job. Throw everyone off the scent and completely murder your draft grade and what your draft's going to be, period. I mean, it's going to really suck when Middleton is the only guy that can hit a shot. Oh, wait, that's what we've been seeing anyways. Never mind.
The Bucks. We'll just have to see what happens this year.
Everything was going so promising. It was so promising.
Oh, they're not going to make the playoffs again next year.
Nope, they're not.
Well, they could have added a guy that could have helped them out right away. Like the guy that got drafted next by the Magic. A little bit of a riser in this draft, but some people thought Sabonis could be going top 10. But he fell to the Magic with the 11th pick, and the Magic went ahead and traded him away, along with Victor Oladipo, Ersan Ilyasova. That's it, right?
Yeah, that's it.
So Oladipo, Ilyasova, and then Sabonis to the Thunder for Serge Ibaka. And this doesn't make much sense for the Magic, but the Thunder just got a whole lot better, and they'll be in the finals next year, if you ask me.
Yeah, I think it kind of makes sense. If you're looking at it from the Magic's perspective, they've had a terrible time finding a power forward that can play alongside Vucevic. Because Vucevic is not a rim protector, and he can kind of space the floor, but he's better in the post. So Serge is that guy. That being said, how is this Serge Ibaka trade a bigger haul than what they got for... And I know it's dumb, whatever, but like people were like, okay, so when the Thunder traded Harden and they got Jeremy Lamb and Steven Adams, and I think they got the draft pick that became Perry Jones. And now they trade Ibaka, which, of course, there's questions about his age, blah, 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 blah. That's more of a joke. But who has looked like he's been getting worse the last couple of years. How did they get Victor Oladipo, Ersan Ilyasova, and freaking Sabonis?
Yeah, it's just crazy. Look at that starting lineup for next year. You got Russell at the point, Oladipo at the 2, whoever you want to put in at the 3, run Durant at the 4, and then put in Adams. But Durant doesn't want to play the 4. So if you throw Durant in at 3, you have 4 good bigs to choose from to fill that front court. Man, Thunder are going to be nasty next year.
The Thunder were the best rebounding team in the league this year. And they only just got better.
Ugh.
I didn't think that was possible, but it happened.
I'm scared. I'm scared now.
I'm excited. And I think that Oladipo is going to come off the bench, and I think he's going to murder some bench guards.
That's pretty scary to think about. Who do you think will start then at the 2 and 3?
You know, I think Andre Roberson has still made his case that he should be in that starting lineup. I think that, but then even if you want to say that maybe they don't, then maybe they bring back waiters. Because they still have his bird rights. But I wouldn't, because now they have Oladipo. But I would also, I think I start Roberson. Roberson, they figured out how to use him off ball and get him to where he is an offensive weapon. They figured it out in the playoffs. I think that you go Westbrook, Roberson, KD, and then have the Stash Bros rocking it in your starting lineup.
Whew. That's scary.
And
they'll beat the Warriors with a lineup like that.
And then
I think they'll be better than the Warriors.
Then they have Campaign, Oladipo, whoever you want, like a Morrow maybe, or you bring back maybe a Waiters and have him play 3. And then Ilyasova and Sabonis as your second 5.
Huh.
That's a pretty good.
Watch out for the Thunder next year.
That's a good bench. This is going. I really like this Thunder team even more now.
Yeah, Durant would be crazy not to go back. Just sign the 1-year deal or however you want to do it if you need to make your extra money.
Sign your 1-and-1, become a free agent the same year with Westbrook, get your contracts lined up, and go try and win one for OKC.
Oh, man. All right, let's move on here, though. Well, we can talk about how nasty the Thunder are going to be in the future.
Definitely.
But, so, a trade went down for this pick, right?
Yes. So what happened was it was a 3-team trade. Jeff Teague got sent to the Indiana Pacers. George Hill got sent from the Pacers to the Jazz, and the Jazz sent number 12 to Atlanta.
Right on. And with that pick, they took Taurean Prince, the small forward out of Baylor.
Yeah,
who gave the best interview in NCAA history, I believe. The whole rebounding bit. If you haven't seen it, just type in Taurean Prince interview. It'll be the top result.
I'm not sure if it's Taurine or what it is. I feel like it might be that. I'm not sure. But I wasn't sure where Atlanta was going with this pick. But I like it. I kind of see Taurean Prince in the mold of like a Jay Crowder or something like that, a Damari Carroll. And, you know, he's a little bit of a project, but with Atlanta trading Teague and handing the starting point guard keys over to Schroeder, they like him. It's Schroeder. That's how you say it. It's not Schroeder. I don't care how many people say Schroeder. It's Schroeder in my mind. I really like this. I like this pick. I like it a lot. And it makes sense in my opinion.
Yeah, he's a great fit there. And then moving on to the next one, this is the 13th pick that we traded to the Kings. And rather than spend a bunch of time talking about how outrageous this pick was that the Kings made, I'm just give them a hand, make us feel a lot better about the trade. This makes me feel good giving up that 13 pick.
Oh, man, it makes me feel so good.
I don't even know how to say his name. Giorgio Papagiannis, the center from Greece.
I mean, G in Greece is a Y sound, isn't it? So it could be Yorios Papagiannis, maybe? I don't know.
It sounds close to like Wario, like Mario's evil.
I don't know. I didn't
twin.
even know this guy was a thing, so go ahead. Good job, Kings management.
Yep, thanks, guys. Moving on to the Bulls pick, number 14, they took another guy with some questionable knees. Now that they got rid of their one guy with definitely bad knees, they took Denzel Valentine out of Michigan State.
Trade Derrick Rose. And then draft a guy that has a possible degenerative knee condition. Good job, Bulls.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Okay, and then with the 15th pick, we finally got out of the lottery. The Nuggets took Juan Hernan-Gomez. A little earlier than I expected to see him off the board, but the Nuggets must really like him.
Yeah, I think this is the range that a lot of people thought he would go. And I'm not going to say I dislike the pick. I'm not sure. I think he's a draft and stash, but I think that someone else said that he can actually come over. So that can be interesting. And, that's another guy that is going to possibly help the Nuggets have this crazy fast pace and space game. And that's a lot of fun to watch.
Totally. Let's move on. Number 16, the Celtics kind of picked a guy out of the blue here. I'll try to not butcher this name.
You're going to butcher it.
Gershon Yabusele?
That's what I would say. So
yeah,
I don't think that's how you say it, but who knows?
That's how I'm going to say it right now. So he looks like a bit of a smaller Jared Sullinger, just like maybe a little more trim than Big Sully. So maybe we could call him Little Sully. Little Yabusele. Or something.
Little Yabusele?
Right, yeah, there you go. I like that. Let's move on to a pick that actually makes sense. And the Grizzlies, with the 17th pick, took Wade Baldwin, the fourth point guard out of Vanderbilt. They really needed some help at point guard. They were just bringing in who did they have running the point at the end of the season?
They had Jordan Farmar in there, yeah.
Farmar, yeah. They had him playing solid minutes, so this pick makes a ton of sense.
He was playing huge minutes in the playoffs. That's not something you want from Jordan Farmar right about now. And this also gives the Grizzlies some insurance if they don't want to spend $120 million on Mike Conley.
Right. Conley's getting paid, for sure.
Yeah, and that might be a bad idea, but, if the Grizzlies want to move on, they've got a nice young point guard.
Absolutely. And then at number 18, the Detroit Pistons took Henry Ellenson. He slipped a little bit. There was just a lot of talk about his lack of athleticism. And
his 1 inch vertical.
1 inch, tripping over the block painted on the court. But yeah, he slipped a little bit to that 18, but I think he's a real nice fit in Detroit, actually.
Yeah, I don't have anything to say. I mean, they might need a little bit more offense, and maybe him coming off the bench for Tobias, because I think Tobias should be playing 4, but who knows? I like the pick.
Yeah, and then 19, the Nuggets took Malik Beasley, the shooting guard out of Florida State. I think he's another nice fit for some backcourt depth there.
Yeah, the Nuggets got a lot spacier in this draft, and that's kind of terrifying.
Right. And then with the 20 pick, I believe the Nets got a hold of this pick, and they took Karis LeVert out of Michigan, the shooting guard. Had some injury troubles, but
I actually think his name is Chris, and I'm not even joking.
I always thought it was like Karis, but there's just a C in that, like Karis or Chris.
I think it's supposed to be Chris. I don't know why, but there was a thread going on in something, and everyone was making fun of how no one can spell Chris in this draft. And this was one of the guys that they were pointing out. I think his name's supposed to be Chris, and that makes me laugh. But this isn't the Pacers pick, because the Pacers somehow got Thad Young for it. So, good job, Nets.
What a steal there. Pacers they're turning into a solid team with these moves they've been making.
They said that they were going to change up the philosophy a little bit, and they actually did it for real this time.
Right on. So, how about I start reading through, and if you need to make a comment, you just jump in.
Yeah, go for it.
So 21, we have the Hawks taking DeAndre Bembry. Then 22, the Hornets taking Malachi Richardson.
Okay, and at 22, I think this was a trade. I believe that the Hornets received Marco Bellinelli, and the Kings got this pick.
You got it. Yep. The Kings took that one. My bad. So 23, the Celtics took Ante Zizic, not sure.
Something like that.
Just another big center out of Croatia, I believe.
Yep.
All right, moving on. 76ers took Luwawu, who we had mocked going 14 to the Bulls. So that could be some nice value for the Sixers down there.
I guess he's a little bit older than I thought he was, but I think that's the only reason why he fell, and he's a project, but I like the pick.
And 25, the Clippers select Bryce Johnson. I was a little bummed to see Bryce Johnson go to the Clippers.
I'm bummed, but I also mentioned how I thought that was a really good fit, and I'm not going to lie and say that it's not, because it is. I hate that he's on the Clippers, but it's a really solid pick, and This is something that they needed.
Really nice backup for Blake there. And then the Sixers were back on the clock after that, and they took Furkan Korkmaz out of Turkey, the shooting guard. So another guy that will probably need a year or two overseas before we see him in the pros. But who knows? It's the 76ers. They could do anything.
Pretty much.
And then, yeah, so 27th, the Raptors took a guy, Pascal Siakam, I don't know, out of New Mexico State, power forward, fills a need for them. We'll see if I don't know if he'll be getting minutes this first season, but definitely fills a need for them. Then 28, the Kings, who got this pick from us as part of that trade, finally someone took Skal off the board, 28 picks into the draft. Everyone expected him to be a lottery pick.
How did Thon Maker get picked at 10 and Skal dropped to 28? I am just so confused. And I'm also really confused for Boogie Cousins in Sacktown.
Oh, what does he think is going on?
He had a tweet, and it did not seem very happy, but all of his tweets don't sound happy, so take it for what it is.
After they took that guy 13, didn't he tweet, like, Lord, give me strength?
Yep.
Or something. Oh, Boogie. He's just nervous that this Papagiannis guy is going to take his starting role.
I feel so bad for him in Sacktown. Oh, my goodness.
Boogie needs to win some games and just become a less angry person.
He needs to become a less emotional lesbian?
Oh, that's so good. All right, let's move on and finish off this first round, though. The Spurs took Dejounte, I don't know.
I think it's possibly Dejounte.
It's getting late. Late.
It's a mess.
But point guard out of Washington, Spurs, that's just when Tony Parker decides to retire, he'll be a great guy to come in and fight with whoever they have at the backup point guard. Mills, right?
Yeah, I hate the pick because I like the pick.
Yeah, it's the Spurs. Ugh. And then to round out the first round, the Warriors took Damian Jones, the center out of Vanderbilt. I think that was a great pick. Bogut's getting pretty old. Really like Ezeli. We'll see if he sticks around there. But Damian Jones at 30 was a solid pick for them.
Agreed.
All right, let's pan through the second round. Just throw out a few here.
Yeah,
Deontay Davis fell to the first pick of the second round to the Celtics, but I believe they moved him somewhere. Was it the Grizzlies?
I'm trying to see. Yeah, Deontay Davis to the Grizzlies.
Yeah. That's good for them. That's a nice pick for the Grizzlies. I wonder what they gave up to get there.
It might have been just cash. I'm not sure, but all I know is that the Celtics finally picked a power forward that I liked, and they traded him.
Good job, Celtics. Then we'll move down a little bit here. Patrick McCaw to the Golden State Warriors. They traded to get this pick from the Bucks, I believe. The shooting guard out of UNLV. He'll be a nice guy to come off the bench for them.
Yeah. McCaw. I really like that pick. He's going to be pretty good for depth.
All right, move down the line a little bit here. Diamond Stone went 40 to the Pelicans. He was getting some pretty... I think he was projected to be a 20-ish pick.
I think everyone
ended up going...
I think everyone was projecting him to go 30 to Golden State.
Okay. So he goes 10 picks later than that to the Pelicans. Be a nice guy to kind of shore up that center position there.
Agreed.
Move down a few more picks. Then we got Joe Chi going 43 to the Rockets.
I really like
They're just
the pick.
going for that. They just got to keep that Eastern connection going on.
Got to keep it. Him and Yao are really good friends, so, I don't know. I'm making that up.
I assume they're at least friendly.
I would think so.
Two biggest names in Chinese basketball, maybe of all time already.
Nah,
I'm not sure about
Kobe's still
Joe,
big.
but
Oh, wait, no, Chinese basketball, sorry. I thought you meant in
Marbury.
China that are basketball games, sorry. Poor Jeremy Lin. Anyways.
all right. Then the Celtics took Demetrius Jackson 45. That was quite a big slip for Jackson.
Yeah, he's older, and I think that he didn't impress at all in workouts. So I'm just assuming that's why he dropped so much, because I really like him. So who knows?
All right. Going down through the end here. Ben Bentel to the Celtics, power forward. Man, the Celtics kept a lot of these picks. They're just loading up with guys. They probably have a full roster overseas.
They're going to have to trade some of these guys because there's no way they have the room.
Right. So, that about does it for the whole second round here. Saw some pretty crazy things go down in the draft last night. You have any final things to put in, David?
Yes, I do. There's one last one, and that's that the Kings drafted Isaiah Cousins, and it just makes me laugh. Because they had Isaiah and Cousins. And now they have
Isaiah Cousins.
And now they have Isaiah Cousins. That's it. That's the last one.
He was almost picked in the same spot as IT too. Just a point guard going to Kentucky or going to Sacramento at the end of the draft.
Yep, 59.
It just feels right. He'll probably blow up like IT.
He'll probably suck, but he'll have a great name. So
there you go. All right, everybody. I think that's going to do it for this week.
Hope so.
Be sure to check us out on... Yeah, it better be. Be sure to check us out on social media. Follow us on Twitter under the handle @SunnyandPHXPod. Find us on Facebook under the name Phoenix Suns Multiple Sources. Hit us up through email with questions or suggestions at sunnyandphxpod@gmail.com. Head over to our website at multiplesources.net/Phoenix Suns and the entire Multiple Sources blog and podcast network. Next time, we'll talk about our new rookies a little more and start to look into the free agency period. Go Suns.